Once upon a time, in a land of rolling hills and golden fields, there was a village called Bethlehem, nestled under the warm embrace of the sun. The people there were farmers, sowing seeds and reaping harvests. But when the heavens refused to pour their rain, the land turned dry and cracked, and famine swept through the village like a cruel wind. In this village lived a man named Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion. The famine grew worse by the day, and hunger clung to the villagers like a shadow. With sorrowful hearts, Elimelech decided to leave his beloved home and seek food and fortune in the distant land of Moab. The family packed their few belongings and journeyed through winding hills and dusty paths until they reached Moab. There, they settled and began a new life. The sons, Mahlon and Chilion, grew into fine young men and soon married 2 Moabite women. One was named Orpah, and the other was called Ruth. For a time, the family knew peace. But fate can be a cruel weaver, and sorrow soon came knocking. Elimelech fell ill and passed away. His sons, too, were claimed by death, leaving Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth as 3 grieving widows with broken hearts and trembling hands. Without her husband and sons, Naomi felt as empty as a field without grain. She heard that the famine in Bethlehem had ended, and her heart yearned for home. She turned to her daughters-in-law and said, "My daughters, return to your mother's houses. You are still young and beautiful. You may yet find new husbands and build new homes. But I am old, with no sons to offer you. My heart is bitter and full of sorrow. Go, my children, and do not share in my grief." Orpah wept bitterly, her face wet with tears. She kissed Naomi goodbye and, with heavy steps, returned to her family. But Ruth, with eyes full of love and defiance, clung to Naomi's arm. "Do not urge me to leave you," Ruth said, her voice steady. "Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die and be buried. Nothing but death will separate us." Naomi's eyes, once dimmed by sorrow, glistened with the warmth of Ruth's love. She embraced her loyal daughter-in-law, and together they set out for Bethlehem. The return to Bethlehem. When the 2 women arrived, the village was abuzz with murmurs. The women of Bethlehem looked at Naomi and whispered, "Is this Naomi, who left us so long ago? How worn and sorrowful she looks." But Naomi, her face hardened by grief, shook her head. "Do not call me Naomi, which means pleasant. Call me Mara, for my life has become bitter." With no men to care for them, Naomi and Ruth were poor and vulnerable. To survive, Ruth went to the fields to glean, gathering the leftover grain after the harvesters had passed. She worked under the scorching sun, her hands rough and tired. Now, in Bethlehem lived a wealthy landowner named Boaz, a man of noble character. His fields stretched far and wide, and he was known for his kindness and fairness. When Boaz came to inspect his fields, he noticed Ruth, working tirelessly. "Who is that young woman?" he asked his foreman. "She is Ruth, the Moabite who came with Naomi," the man replied. "She works hard from morning until evening and barely rests." Boaz's heart softened toward Ruth. He approached her and spoke with kindness. "Do not go to any other field. Stay here with my workers. I have told my men not to harm you. When you are thirsty, drink from the jars they have filled." Ruth, humbled by his generosity, bowed low before him. "Why have I found such favor in your eyes, my lord? I am only a foreigner." Boaz smiled gently. "I have heard of your kindness to Naomi, how you left your homeland to care for her. May the Lord, under whose wings you have taken refuge, reward you richly." And so, Ruth continued to glean in Boaz's fields, protected and provided for. Each evening, she returned home with her arms full of barley. Naomi, seeing the abundance, smiled for the first time in many moons. The night at the threshing floor. As time passed, Naomi saw the kindness in Boaz's eyes and the affection growing between him and Ruth. One evening, she called Ruth aside and whispered, "My daughter, Boaz is a good man and a close relative, one who could redeem us. Go to him tonight, after he has winnowed the barley. Wash yourself, anoint your hair, and wear your finest shawl. When he lies down, go quietly and uncover his feet. Then, lie down beside him." Ruth, with trembling hands, did as Naomi instructed. Under the cover of darkness, she approached Boaz as he lay near the grain. Gently, she uncovered his feet and lay down. In the middle of the night, Boaz stirred and was startled to see a woman at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am Ruth," she replied softly. "Spread your cloak over me, for you are a kinsman redeemer." Boaz was moved by her request. "My daughter, you have shown great kindness. You could have sought younger men, but you have not. I will do all you ask, for you are a woman of noble character. But there is one nearer in kinship who has the first right to redeem you. If he does not, I will redeem you myself." At dawn, Boaz sent Ruth home with an abundance of grain. The next day, Boaz went to the village gate, where legal matters were settled. He called the nearer kinsman and offered him the chance to redeem Naomi's land and take Ruth as his wife. The man, unwilling to take on such responsibility, declined. Before the village elders, Boaz declared, "You are witnesses today that I am redeeming Naomi's land and taking Ruth the Moabite as my wife." The people cheered and blessed them, saying, "May the Lord make Ruth like Rachel and Leah, who built the house of Israel. May your children be blessed and your name remembered." Boaz and Ruth were married, and the Lord blessed them with a son, whom they named Obed. Naomi, once broken and bitter, held her grandson in her arms, and her sorrow was replaced with joy. The women of Bethlehem rejoiced, saying, "Praise be to the Lord, who has not left you without a redeemer. May this child be famous in Israel." And indeed, Obed became the grandfather of King David, from whose lineage came Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world.
Thank you, friends, for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Suzy Space for more stories.